Okay. On the agenda, I don't know which one everybody got because I published one, I sent one in August. So I'm talking about where we have introductions, which is unusual.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the agenda we'll go forward with. If everybody's okay. So we're going to open the meeting now, as they do with the select board, and just offer any comments from the general public. Do we have anything? Well, that was a good agenda item. Okay, so if we can go through and do our general introductions, and I ask first that we all the board members introduce themselves. Then we'll go through our new associate member, introduce him, and our new director, and introduce Megan.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could we introduce Meg first?
Well, I'd like her to know everybody at the table first.
Yeah, we don't know her yet, yeah.
No, so let's do it. Let's do it in order if we
Okay.
can. Okay, so I'll start off. I'm the current chairman of the board. I'm a Vietnam veteran, retired electrical engineer, worked for most of the computer companies in the state, and finally retired as director of project management for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I've been on the board now through 4 directors, I guess is the way to look at it, through 4 directors. And we are all volunteers. That's important to remember. We're all volunteers. And so if we can go off now, and if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Okay. Taffy Nothnagel, retired special ed teacher, Situate Public Schools. Been on the board for 14 years, and I am also the liaison to the Housing Authority, where I've been chairman for almost 20 years. And so, welcome.
Eleanor Barrett. I can't tell you how long I've been on this board.
Before there was a board, right?
Before there was a board. There you go. In the other place. How's that?
My dinosaurs room.
Yes,
I was there too.
you were there too. There you go. I'm still working. I own an assisted living facility in Cambridge. I have 6 children, so I am still working. 1 grandchild. One on the way.
I'm Diana Karcher, and I'm the vice chairman, I guess. And I am retired. I'm the Medicare lady. I've spent most of my life with Harvard Pilgrim Health, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island, and I have published some Medicare guidelines for HMOs and that type of thing. So, but right now I am retired.
Did you bump into
No,
it
let's
now or
let's hold you off, young man.
Yeah, you get to know.
All right,
Good morning.
stand by.
I'm Elaine Coyne, the treasurer. I am a retired CPA, been in the field for about over 30 years. And been on the board for probably 10 in the old building as well. Welcome.
I am Tana Carlson. I've been on the board, I think I'm the dinosaur here, at least 15 years or 16 years. I'm retired. I was in banking before I went. And that's really all. I'm just a volunteer around town. And as I say, I've been with the board for over 15 years, I'm sure. And from its inception, we were over at the other building where they had everybody in a closet.
You can come out of the closet now.
Yes. And, but the whole thing, I'm here for this whole thing.
I'm Beth Tarpey. I've been on the board about over 6 years. I sell real estate, kind of volunteer here and there, do what I can. Welcome.
I'm Karen Aronti. I grew up in town, and my career was in New York City. I have been on this board since 2008, so 16 years, and I head up the Friends of CBA, helping to coordinate activities for Senior center, seniors. Oh, no.
She's also, you're also in charge of it.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
I mean,
Yes.
forever.
That's right.
My turn from the trains come.
Yeah, right.
That's part of the announcement.
Already had-
Paul made sure we had a train in town.
Thank you. So I'm Paul Pierce. I've been on the board for about 15 years as well. Been a past chair, also a sewer commissioner, and also affordable housing steering.
My name's Jim Murphy. I'm a new kid in town. I've been on the board for 5 years. I've been volunteering here for the past maybe the chief cook at Bottom Russia. That's all you just know about me.
I'm the newest kid next to him, Marcia Sylvia. And I was a teacher and I worked in the insurance industry, workers' compensation. And since my husband passed away, I've been active here at the center and decided to be more.
Okay, great. All right, I'd like to introduce David Bigley. David, would you like to tell us about yourself?
Certainly. I am obviously the newest member. I've been on the board for 45 minutes. I just came from town hall being sworn in. So, we've been in town here for 40 plus years. My career was sort of a all over the place kind of career, but the big bulk of it was I worked for about 30 years for Greenpeace full time as an eco warrior, I guess. And when they did when I first started volunteering here, they did a Corey check as they do for many volunteers here. And I remember Liza calling me and said, "We need to talk. You don't spend 30 years working for Greenpeace without having a record to show for it." But it was all, good trouble. But I'm excited to be. I also serve on the 143 Cohasset Public Access 143. I'm looking forward to. And right here, two of the things that I'm very much involved in here. Every Thursday morning, I host a men's discussion group, and it's all over the map what we end up talking about. And people keep coming back, so we're being nice to each other. And the other thing, of course, is bocce on the other side of the building every Tuesday and Thursday, 1 o'clock. But then if you ever feel like you want to see what it's like playing bocce, you're more than welcome. I'd encourage you. That's that.
Thank you, David.
Yep.
Now, Megan, would you like to introduce Megan?
Yes. Thank you all for coming today. We have Meg Stewart. Meg started on Thursday just a little bit for a half day and walked around and met the staff and got her bearings. And so today is her very first full day here with us. And I know there was a few things that she wanted to say. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you. Pardon my voice. I have a little allergies right now, but thank you for having me today. And I find often, you mentioned volunteers, I find often volunteer groups usually make one of the greatest impacts in a community. So never minimize to just volunteers, because volunteer groups are so impactful to the community. And I thank you all for doing that. My background is mostly in healthcare, and a lot of that is geared toward patient advocacy and health advocacy. So one of the things that is most important to me is access to care for not only for any age of people, and that doesn't mean just healthcare, access to resources. So this type of environment is important to me. I have half of the amount of kids. I have 3 children, and working in the local community of the South Shore is something that I care very much about. So I thank you. My goal is to create a supportive and inclusive environment where everyone feels heard. It sounds like everyone has had amazing careers and or is still working, and that your feedback is probably some of the most valuable feedback that I could get from anywhere. So I look to you all for what you know and how we can better serve the community and do the best that we can for Cohasset. So thank you for having me.
Any questions for Megan? I'm sure there are many. Have you ever managed volunteers before?
I have.
You'll see, well, as you know, your staff is pretty small here, but we've been extremely successful because of the volunteer engagement in all aspects of the Elder Center. So one thing I would recommend is don't piss off a volunteer. They can walk away immediately. But welcome. I know, having looked at your resume, I know you went to LSU. When I was in the Navy, one of my roommates graduated LSU when we were addicted to LSU football. I'm sorry. We had a quarterback named Phil Robinson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He was lousy, but his backup quarterback, I don't know if anybody knew that, was Terry Bradshaw. Yeah. Terry Bradshaw sat on the bench while Phil was out there throwing interceptions. But no, it was an interesting time back then. Okay. Let's see. Now we have the director's report.
And I can go through that.
Okay.
So the pergola construction obviously went very, very well. Very exciting. I know Elaine and Jim are starting to work on looking at some furniture. So while we have this today, hopefully in the future we'll have something maybe a little bit more comfortable for everybody. And thank you both for working on that.
One question on that. I think this is a nice setup, but obviously it's going to restrict any other activity out here. So when we go for new furniture, perhaps something on casters so they can be rapidly set up and moved
You got
away.
a rough surface here. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it's rougher if you don't have any wheels. So just a thought. Are you guys in the subcommittee? That's something to keep in mind.
Yesterday we had Grandparents' Day here at the center. Diane drafted this report and said at the time that they were looking forward to 60 people coming, which is fantastic. Food trucks, petting zoo, arts and crafts, and everybody was here to work the event. So thank you to the staff for coming in on a Sunday to have such a nice event. That's fantastic.
How many people did come?
I'm not sure. I haven't had the update.
It was fabulous.
Was it?
was
Oh,
fabulous.
good.
I'd say there were at least 60.
Yeah.
About 60, yeah.
Yeah, it was really a great event, and definitely looking forward to next year.
Awesome, great.
Where did they
So
set up
hopefully
the
this will be
the
annual.
petting zoo?
Right behind the boxwood at the front door.
Oh.
So if anything, the event certainly gave Patty an opportunity to see what she would do typically next year. You know, maybe the petting zoo here and the music here. So anyway, she could work on that.
Yeah.
But
Oh, neat.
anyway, great event.
That was the first time we did it, right?
Yes. Weather was spectacular.
Yeah.
And, you know, between the food truck and the ice cream, it was great. And yeah, good.
Well, I was here with my 14-year-old granddaughter, and you all probably understand or have some experience of how hard it is to please a 14-year-old. She had a great time.
Oh, that's
Really
wonderful.
loved it.
Did anybody play bocce?
No, cornhole over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
Great.
petting zoo was to be able to hold a piglet. There were 2 piglets, there were ducks, there were chickens, there were bunnies.
Goats, any goats?
I didn't.
I didn't
Oh,
see those.
no,
no,
I
but
know
everybody
that-
got to hold the
I
other.
haven't looked,
That's fun.
but it was- Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds like a really nice annual event. That's awesome. Great. A new bereavement support group is starting on Tuesday. That's going to be from 1 to 2:30. Trisha will be facilitating that group, and I know that's a goal of our team here is to start having some more support groups, or at least that's something that Diane has talked to me about. So that's wonderful that we're getting that started. End of summer cookout is coming up on Tuesday the 24th from 12 to 1:30. There's going to be lobster rolls. It's very exciting. And weather permitting, we'd like to have it outside with some entertainment. So maybe we can take a look at some furniture for that and see where we are. Community dinner is coming up. That's on Thursday, October 24th. It's going to have an Oktoberfest theme. Joan is working on the menu for that. Some traditional Oktoberfest foods will be offered, and hopefully some live entertainment as well. Transportation services for the elections. We did offer a transportation service. It doesn't appear that anyone took us up on the offer, but I think that's something that we should continue to offer just to improve accessibility for elections, and it's a wonderful service to provide.
We do it for town meeting as well.
Oh, great, great.
Bring people to the high school.
Great. Meeting schedule reminder, just that the next 2 Monday board meetings fall on holidays, and the new meeting dates will be October 21st and November 18th. And lastly, the town electric car was taken to Coastal Nissan due to an issue with the AC compressor. So unfortunately, what's happening is because the AC is not working, it's draining the battery, so the entire car is not working for us. So we can't just use it without the AC and the windows down. So that is being repaired. And I know Michelle is working out the cost of that. It's going to be about $2,800, and we're looking for funding on where that might come from. So we can keep you posted about that. Oops.
Before we continue, did
Yeah.
we have, back to the pergola?
Sure.
What was how close were we to the original estimate on this?
So I'm working with Michelle on the budget on this. So we did not go over. We're fairly close. I don't have the exact number.
Okay, but we didn't go over.
Yeah, but we're in good shape.
Good.
Talk about the budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're on track with the budget between the 25 and the 75. So we should have a balance of about 20 to 25
Okay,
to finish getting the awnings and shades and furniture.
good.
Yeah. So as long as we don't go over
No.
those
Sorry.
items, we'll be in good shape. HVAC repair. So I have been talking to Nick about the HVAC repair. So right now we are out to bid. So we don't necessarily have a sense quite yet of the timing of the HVAC repair. But we are working on getting some bids in. And when we get those in, we'll have a better idea of when that can get started. We're hoping to have the ability to leave the center open while we do these repairs. They shouldn't be too invasive. But again, when we get closer, we'll have a better idea of what that process will look like.
So can you help us understand that? Because we understood that it was already determined who the vendor was and they were coming in August.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it got bumped to September.
Yeah.
But if you're going out for a bid again, that means the
So-
process is starting.
So from what I understand, there's two pieces to this. There's the people who are installing it, and then there's also getting the equipment. And so we know who's going to install it, but we don't have the bid quite yet for the equipment.
Okay.
So so that's where the
disconnect
hiccup,
is.
yeah,
Okay.
the hiccup lies. So hopefully once that comes back in a couple weeks, we'll be in better shape. Yeah.
Is this just an air conditioning issue, or is there heat involved too? Because it's the whole system.
Sure. So it's what I understand is a line issue. So it is both. Oh no, it is just AC. Excuse me. So it's just an AC situation, but I do believe it affects the heat. So what's happened is there's Freon is leaking from the system periodically, although hasn't all summer, this summer long, which is very exciting. But what it does is and again, I'm not an expert on this, but from what I understand, it depressurized the whole system. So it does affect the heat as well. So hopefully we can get that fixed in the next, I think, month and a half is our timeline. But for right now, everything's working, and I should knock on something. But we've had great success over the last couple months. But it is kind of a matter of time when we're going to have another leak. So.
Thank you.
Thanks. Services and activities. So for August, we provided services, activities, and outreach for 413 individuals, resulting in 1,823 repeat visits. This is an increase overall of about 2.7% from July. Our website traffic is steady at 236 for both July and August, an increase in June, which they're having IT investigate. Might have been the registration for the triathlon. Transportation for July, 25 riders took 231 rides. 164 were miscellaneous for shopping or things of that nature, and 67 were for medical. 12 rides by electric car by 5 riders. And for August, 21 riders took 233 rides, 171 were miscellaneous, and 62 were medical. And there were 32 rides by electric cars.
In the future on these metrics, which I appreciate, is there a way we compare them always to last month? Can we compare them to the same month last year? Just this,
Yeah.
yeah.
It makes more sense.
That
Yeah.
does make more sense. Yep.
Okay, thank
Sure.
you.
Rich had a question.
Quick comment, that may be a little difficult only because of the new bus. We have to keep those metrics for the state because the state actually owns that bus. Prior to getting that new bus, we weren't doing the individual rides. In other words, if somebody came to and from the center, it might have gone down as only one ride, not two. Or if they went shopping, went home, came back to the center, instead of being 4 rides, it was 2. So it'll be difficult to give you the same apples to apples type
Okay.
ride. So month to month is easy because with the new bus, we have to do that, and we do track every single one we do. Medical rides slightly different, but as far as the bus rides go, it would be difficult.
So the numbers will look bigger this year versus last year.
Yeah, understand.
Okay. Any questions on the director's report? Can we get a motion on the report?
Move to accept.
Second.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Okay. And the minutes. What do you got for us, Eleanor?
There's someplace, right?
Yeah, July 8th minutes. Came out.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I- Thank you.
Is anybody else missing a copy? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did have it. It's usually not this thick. I'm sorry, I didn't ask. Do we have anybody on Zoom? How's that working today?
Nobody on Zoom today, but we are recording for
Okay.
the record.
Can I make a motion to accept the minutes of July 8th?
Second.
On the motion, on the motion, on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Are there minutes from the last meeting? From
No.
September?
No, that was a special meeting. We didn't have any reports on that meeting.
Do we need to have a report on that meeting?
You do, it was a
You do.
public
That's
meeting.
my
It was,
question.
yeah.
Okay, so I do have some.
Okay, you wanna,
No, I only have a few.
Gonna do
well,
it
just
next
read
month.
it. Okay, next
Yeah,
month, that's
yeah.
fine.
Is this all one page? Is this one page you passed out or?
Yes,
Okay.
the other direction will be, that's the update from last year.
Back on page one.
Okay, to proceed, Rich?
Yeah.
So last month, when we had our preliminary June reports, I told you I would tell you when we got the final adjustments in, which we did, which is the summary page that you have in the yellow. This is for August. There's another one coming around. You want to go that way? Oh, wait, which is for the first 2 months of the current fiscal year. So the final numbers that came through in June, for June, all the final adjustments for payroll were exactly as we were expecting in the same amounts, the types that came through. It shows that we expended 98% of our 2024 appropriation, leaving an unexpended general fund balance of only $8,700, $8,764. That unexpended balance, as you recall, does not get carried forward. It goes back to the town. All other funds go carry forward that we are under our purview. So the balance, I just highlighted what changed from the report we got last year, reconciled to the town report. There's always a reconciling item between receipts and the town reports because there's a double counting on the way the reports are presented for some reason. And I just reconcile it back to what we expect those numbers to be. So we're in agreement with everything except for this minor offer carry forward, which I know Megan's going to be looking at. As to the first 2 months of the year, I didn't bother to give you the grant detail because there really wasn't any information going on in the grants other than payroll for the formula grant. But I didn't get anything for the pergola grant yet as far as
The
financial.
25 and 75.
Exactly.
Right,
It's
yeah.
not reflected yet. But they did, I was told that the application for the
Excuse me.
25,000,
Ellen, are there any more with that pink marker on them?
yes. You can share with me, David. It's just a single, oh, there's two there. Is that enough? One more? We can share. We can share. Yeah.
You need it?
We can share.
Okay. So that $25,000 grant, the request for reimbursement had to be in by June 30th. It was a pretty strict deadline. I'm told that that request came in. I do not know if we got that other 12,500. We have received 12,500 up front. So I don't know if we got the other 12,500 yet, but I have been told that there's no known problem with that.
Where did you put the first 12?
It's in the column, the second column, total detail, total grants.
For grants?
It's in that 42,000.
Oh, okay.
The 42,000 is 12,500 for the pergola.
Yeah.
And 30,602 for the formula.
Are you going to put the 75 CPC in that same column?
I don't know how the town, we'll just follow consistently with how the town reports it. I'm not sure how they're doing it. I would expect it will go right through that.
Okay. We can track it separately.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
I didn't give you page 2 because there was so little
That's
activity
fine.
change, but I do. I give you a second page with grant activity. With that, and if you'd like more, I'm more than happy to give you more, but I do try to pull back.
Oh, no.
You know my tendency.
I'm afraid to ask you for more detail.
I know.
Yeah, you don't want.
I know. And Megan, FYI, our reports evolve. They are just summaries. We have a 7-page town-generated summary report. So I try to make sense out of that on one sheet of paper. That's the purpose of this. It's just to consolidate everything and present it, and hopefully it's that we can. So just a general update.
Great.
And it's certainly open to change anytime. So under the pink sheets, if you got those, it was confusing because of the two periods. But we have 2 months ended, 2 months in the new fiscal year. In that report, you'll see that final column over under capital projects. That does reflect the capital projects approved at town meeting. So we have 2 vehicles, the caravan for 45,000 plus, transport vehicle for 25,000, and the HVAC for 700,000.
Is that incoming money?
Yes. Well, we're not going to probably get it as we spend it.
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
mean,
we sold vehicles.
I don't know how the town intends to report the sale of the old and how it will replace the cost of the new. Perhaps it'll go through our department budget, but I'm not sure. And I'm not sure, what's the plan on the town accountant now? Do we have any update on? No, maybe not.
Do we answer that? We're interviewing right
Oh,
now.
okay, that's what I
so
was thinking.
we're in process.
Yeah. So I
Um,
think,
What was sold?
So we're selling the vans that we have.
Oh, they just washed.
Yeah.
That's all it is on capital, so.
It's both those,
Yeah,
okay?
so those are credits against the purchase.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're crediting the money coming in for the
Yeah,
purchase.
but you don't have an independent capital account, it's part of the broader capital
Okay.
account.
well, actually, in the fiscal 2025 reports, there is an additional Department of Capital.
Yeah, no, it shows because it's
Yeah.
signed to the department, but keep the capital budget is a separate item.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, got it. It came through like an appropriation.
It did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a new column that explains that last column in our current fiscal year reporting.
Yeah, I just want to see where we end up with all this vehicle
Absolutely.
swapping. I'm thinking we'll be ahead $2,000 by the end of the day. I don't know. I'm hoping.
Right.
Interesting accounting, I like that.
I know, that's good.
We're the only department that is giving money back to the town.
There you go. Yes. The other thing, I'll just go through general terms, the general fund, our total budget for 2025 is $394,443. We've expended, as you'll see in that first column, year to date for the first 2 months, $51,379, leaving us with $343,063. Where our spending's a little low, but we know why, and it's in line with our budget in general.
Why is it low?
Well, we didn't have any payroll for the director.
Oh, okay.
One, in first month of the year always seems to get off to a slow start as far as expenses, so we'll catch up.
Okay.
I would think. Again, on the pergola, I mentioned about, we filed for the application. And I think next month, hopefully we'll have more detailed information, so we know if it truly is 25,000 left over, of what we expect to have to spend on.
With that, with talking about the leftover, for the rest of everything we want to do we have to expend that money in fiscal 25?
Paul
We
said,
have 3 years.
3 years, okay.
which is great.
We had till June for the grant money, which was the balance of the 25,000. So we had 12,500 we had to expense. So we did all of that before June 30th.
Yeah.
CPC, you have up to 3 years.
So that'd be great.
And they have a reporting mechanism now in place. Track it.
And Jim will have some, I don't know if we do it in a meeting, maybe after the meeting. We have some information to show you about potential. We're looking at sunscreens.
We've got some
first.
samples of things you can look at for the bonding material and stuff that we're considering.
We still don't have an idea as to the pricing. He was going to try to send it before the meeting today, just to get it. I mean, this is preliminary. We haven't gone through procurement. We just spoke to a fellow in town that does this for his business. He's helped the center out before, and it was great. So we'll see what he comes up with.
So where do we stand? We can get an update for the formula grant. I would like to know, plus it'd be good for Meg to know as well. So we get a formula grant from the state every year. which is about 20,000.
Yeah, it depends. Every year it's changing. We have $46,688 as a carryover in that formula grant
Right.
that we should be spending. Now, I have all sorts of documentation from Diane and Nancy about they changed the rules on how the formula grant is spent. It's pretty open
Yeah, it is.
from
It's
what
wide
I've
open.
read.
Right.
So,
Maybe we can add a wet bar.
well, I was thinking a mini kitchen, espresso machine. This is our bistro. You know, I think we have a lot, and I mentioned that to Glenn about the electricity. If we could have adequate electricity to support that type of
Right.
stuff.
So the purpose of the formula grant that we get from the state is to put programs and systems in place for senior activity and senior services, and to use that grant money to foster growth in those areas. And after 2, 3, 4 years, if it takes off and it becomes a viable program, then it's taken over by the town or the department, and then we use that next form of the grant the following year to do something else, something new. So we've always tried to do that here with using it for transportation. We use it to hire Siobhan to help out in transportation with Liza. Then after
We're
that,
paying the kitchen.
we did a kitchen
Payroll
coordinator
now.
recently, and we also did, we hired Nettie to get us
Certified.
right. So over the last year and a half, haven't been active in pursuing that. Nancy had put a plan in to really take a look at the kitchen coordinator, and also we're looking at having a full-time social service worker, if you will. So somebody who's full-time, or unless it's 2 part-time people, but the amount of hours that's needed is huge versus what we're able to do right now. So we have a lot of money in the formula grant. In about 8 or 9 months from now, we're going to get another $20,000. So we've got to figure out over the next couple of months what's the best use of those funds. And I really think since over the last month or so, there's been a heightened awareness of elder affairs and the decision to go more towards health and human services. So it kind of lends itself to being an opportunity where there's funding available to head in that direction, right? So whatever we can identify as an area of service for elders, primarily out of that formula grant, would be great. And also, there's plenty of money there to kind of feather the nest, right? So whatever we need to do to make things more comfortable here as well, I think that's a good thing to start to focus on.
And the reason that balance is so high is because in 2021, 22, it represents basically 3 years.
The whole
COVID,
thing, yeah.
the recovery, we weren't doing a heck of a lot. So the money just wasn't getting spent. And then we were informed, well, we used to have a carryover problem. We had to spend it by the end of the fiscal year. So we knew we didn't have that issue anymore. And we just weren't spending it. But it's going to go. We'll find a good home, for sure.
We know how to spend money in capacity.
Yeah.
Could I just ask a quick question? What is the formula grant? What is that? Is that like the usage of the facility?
No, so we, the state, for every town in the Commonwealth, the state provides $1 value per senior in your town, and the senior is defined by anyone of 60 years or older. So if we have 800 seniors in town defined by the state allots, I think it's like $10 or $12 per senior or $15 per senior, and you get that money, and it's based on the most recent census, and we only census every 10 years. So what happens is the money is really high right now, based off of the 2020 census, but by the time we get to 2029, $20,000 isn't going to be a whole lot of money. And that's exactly what happened to us going from 2010. We had very low residents over the age of 60 versus what we have today. So our numbers jumped up pretty good. So our formula, we used to get like 12,000 a year, 13,000 a year, and all of a sudden it jumped up to 22,000.
Well, in 24, it was 30,602. So it's been increasing.
Yeah, it's
The rate increased in 24.
I,
There were like 1,600, over 60.
so we should we should have, I think, about 800 people over the age of 60 might be more.
I think it's
We're
much
about-
more. It's much more. Because I went through the record, what's the town annual report where they list everybody's name and address, anybody 17 years and older. And we had 40% are 60 or older in
60
this
and
town.
higher, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
40%. So, I mean, I know we're not taking advantage of that, but hopefully when the censuses all peter out, it's going to continue to increase.
Yeah, so the state.
I was
only
surprised it was 40%.
Yeah, the state only recognizes one database. I'm
Yeah.
not sure which one that is. So, as much as everyone wants to say, hey, we have more, the state only recognizes one database. But what I caution everybody about every year is that once somebody at the State House figures out how much money they're giving away, they usually is the first place they cut, right? So let's say we're getting $15 per person, they'll cut it to 12. So it's a classic move by the State House every couple of years. When they need to cut the budget, that's what they do. They just trim the number back. So, if we always live on 20,000 a year, it'll be plus or minus, 10 or 20%. We should be fine.
To your point, though, there is a state report that needs to be submitted before we receive the formula grant. That's our statistics and how many people come and how many came to this program and how many people use transportation, things like that.
I believe we also are very cognizant of the actual age that's receiving the services. That grant, I mean, is 60. It can't be, you like to do it 58 or something. That really can't be fudged. The side action, they really, so.
The only other comment on the August is that the town reports don't yet have our carryovers. We track carryovers internally, and we just make sure that when they get up to posting it on the records, we're all in agreement. So we'll continue to follow up on that.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Elaine.
I have one more question for Megan. Megan, you mentioned the 2,800 for the vehicle repair price.
Yes.
In Diane's report, she did say that town was going to fund it. It's not going to
Yes.
come out of our budget, right?
From what I understand right now, that is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
that'll decimate that line item.
Yeah. Michelle is looking into some avenues that are not elder affairs.
Okay, subcommittees. Pergola. We're obviously sitting in it.
It's here.
So I think the construction, from when I looked at it, I thought it was terrific. I don't know. I mean, I think this thing will last longer than the building will.
Or any of us.
That goes without saying, Jim. Okay. Anything else on the pergola you want to bring up? Now the subcommittee to furnish it. What
Yeah, so we
activity?
have, so as far as the pergola goes, it's completed. So the only thing left now is to track the expenses with the CPC format that they had sent us. Finalize the $25,000 grant that we received. So we should theoretically have about, I'm going to guess maybe 20,000 left. I'm hoping a little bit more.
Yeah.
Then that money is to understand what we're doing for furnishings, awnings, and shades. And to your point, what needs to be done first is to determine what type of events would be out here before you can talk about what kind of furnishings you want to put out here. Because if you want to do yoga out here, you can't have these heavy metal tables here, So you got to be able to move stuff in and out and around. And certainly, the tables that we chose for in the facility we specifically chose these square tables so they could be moved around very easily. And the chairs have a dolly carrier, so you can move chairs in and out. But those are, again, not really conducive to outdoor overnight settings. So we just have to figure out what we're going to do with the space before we go and buy stuff, I think.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, and then the library had done a couple of studies on their site when the sun shines, when it doesn't shine. Like today, you know, what works best at what time of the day. We'll probably have to do a couple of ideas on what we want to do there. But it's not just so much the pergola space too, but we have this, you know, great
Lawn.
lawn. So we should consider this as a larger open space, not just the pergola space, you know, because we can have a lot of events and do a lot of nice things out here. So
Well,
I think
Megan,
we should
I'd
have
like
that.
to ask that with the metrics that we track, if we can also track the use of this, the outdoor area. Again, just so we can see some payoff on this when we look at the books in the future. Since we do keep the statistics, I think it's appropriate to add this to that. As a
Yeah, I know
separate
the
item.
Father's Day cookout. I know they usually cook out on the side of the building and they kind of come in, but now even the Father's Day cookout could be out here.
Yeah.
That's stuff.
But I mean, if we move yoga out here or anything else,
Well, yoga's a pretty simple proposition. It's just people and what they bring with them.
yeah, but I mean, we might as well track the use,
Oh, yeah.
is what I'm
sure.
saying.
Yeah, do it out here in February.
Not in February, you won't see me.
Well, as part of some of the use, I thought that, you know, bocce is pretty well attended, as Dave mentioned. It may be appropriate to do something like a shuffleboard court in some of our area, just because when we do have overflow on bocce, people are upset that they have to sit for a half hour. So, but shuffleboard, I think, is something that once it's set up, it should be self-maintenance. It shouldn't have a whole lot of activity to it. But again, it's just another alternative.
I have a point that I've been only because I'm very sensitive to insurance and trees falling. When I was in the parking lot last, there are 2 dead trees right here. Dead trees. And when they fall, they're falling on this. We've gone through 3 cancellations of insurance because of proximity to the ocean. And our new insurance that we begged for has a $30,000 deductible if a tree falls on our house. So we immediately, 30,000.
Wow.
Deductible is.
Well, that's
Tree is that?
that's
Highway
a way I don't want to pay for your insurance to begin with.
Right.
How
Anyway,
much to take the trees down?
Well, that's just it. And some of the, but the point was, we immediately went through and determined what trees would do the most damage and took trees down. They weren't as dead as these 2. And truly, if these landed, it would really be the tops of them. But I'm just asking if you could take a look when they're in the parking lot to see, I don't know who's, this is water land. Is this owned by the water department, this land? Or town, obviously. But if you just take a look at the degree of bleeding.
That's a good point.
Only because if you have any onshore winds,
Yeah.
it's coming this way, the way they're leaning.
But Diane had forwarded me, I think it was you, Diane had forwarded me an email that has been forwarded to Tree Park already.
Okay.
So they'll come and take a look. I don't know if that's something that they'll do with our team or if they have to hire somebody out to come and do it for us, but they'll come and look at the trees for us. So it's on their radar.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Chris, from a town point of view, is that something the town looks at anyway for all our buildings? The possibility of trees falling and damaging the buildings?
To the extent there's trees nearby, a lot of our buildings don't have trees right by them. This is a unique parcel because you're kind of given purposely, right?
Yeah.
So we do look at the common range too. Like, big as the town literally has thousands of trees.
Yes, right, sure.
Well, we do have a bucket truck now, and the guys are getting trained up. So you know, I do know they take stuff down from time to time.
Huh,
So
okay.
the town has a contract with National Grid
Yeah, I know grid
Go
does it.
around and take trees down that are close to the power lines.
Yeah, but see, I don't think they even consider any of this. So,
Anyway,
but I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
I'll follow up with Chris and just
Okay,
see.
did you also have them split and stack it right up front?
Well, then we'll sell
See
it.
what we
Well,
can-
now we got the
Sure,
20
you
grand
don't
for
have
the
to.
fireplace. We can put a fireplace on here, right?
I think, you know, yeah, we'd get a better deal if we just drop and leave it because we could use the wood and get volunteers to cut it out.
We might have to go to conservation first, depending on if it's near
Where it is.
wetlands.
Yeah. It's either owned by the T or conservation.
Right.
Well, I think Glenn would have some specifics on this
Either way,
property.
you can't touch it till it falls.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on the pergola?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Show it off.
Bob Sylvia is with us today, Chief. Any more information on the vehicles? Are we square?
Just to give everybody and to help make understand where we are with all of this process, we have, in quotes, disposed of the two 2019 E150 passenger vans that we had through Ocean Honda, and I'll give them the plug. They gave us some very nice numbers for both of those vehicles. We ended up selling one for 32 and one for 33. We then purchased the
Excellent.
Honda Odyssey that is sitting out front. That cost us $41,505. So we netted a check, which you were talking about earlier, will help with the purchase of the E350 van that we have on order. The 350 van we have on order, the difference between it and the old ones, obviously, it's slightly heavier. Hence the bigger number, like any Ford product, a 150, a 250, a 350 designates as they go up in size. It's not that it's any bigger, it just has a high roof. It is 6'4" head clearance inside. So we won't have.
Well, I
the same
appreciate
problem.
that.
No, we won't have the same problem we had before when the seniors looked at me and said, "What do you want me to do? Crawl in and out of this thing?" So that van that has been ordered, Michelle has placed that order back in July, middle of July. We were told 12 to 16 weeks for delivery of the van itself. It'll be drop shipped to Quality Van Sales down in Norton. We'll do the build out of the van. It will have a wheelchair lift through the back door. That will be our backup to our wheelchair bus. It will be 9 passengers, and it will take the folks in Norton somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks, I think is what Mary Beth sent me. Hold on one second. I think she said 8 to 10 weeks. She'll need to do the build out of the van. So that all being said, I don't expect that we'll see the built out van much before Christmas. But in the meantime, we held on to the second wheelchair bus, which is a good thing because the brand new one had an issue with an alarm inside of it that we couldn't shut off. So we're still working. Liza's been working with the folks at the van company, trying to get them to do the work that needs to be done, which is warranty work. But they are based in Penn Yan, New York, and unless somebody wants to volunteer for a 6-hour ride, then I don't know how we're going to get it back to them to do the work. We're trying to get them to come out here. They've authorized us to use somebody out here. They haven't designated who. To get the alarm turned off, we went to Wilder Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Kept it in house. So we that's where we kind of stand with it. Again, just so everybody's aware, the plan was, or still is, that we have the wheelchair bus, the big bus. I like to say that versus the van, so you can tell the difference between the two. We will have a brand new wheelchair van that we can use. We then have Honda Odyssey, and then we have the town's blue, that as the town. Those were all purchased through the town, not through us. We've had access to that, and as you heard, it's having some issues at the moment, which is also why we got the Odyssey so that we would have something as a backup to that vehicle. Medical rides. And we've been using it for medical rides, and everybody loves it. It's a great vehicle. It's very comfortable. It rides very well, and it has the ability to take 7 passengers if we needed to. So it's a nice vehicle, and it obviously gets much better gas mileage than the 8 to 10 miles a gallon we get from the bus. So that's kind of where we stand on all of this at the present time. Again, we're waiting for delivery. We'll give you an update on that once we know what's going on. 8 to 12 weeks. So sometime between, 12 to 16, sometime between the middle of October, middle of November, and then it'll be the Quality Van Sales to do the retrofit. So, or the upfit, I should say. So I think that's where we stand. If anybody has any questions?
We spoke one of our meetings ago about the little kits, the emergency care kits that we found at the library. We had some here to have those in all our vans.
The only problem with those is that they would have to go in and out during the winter on a daily basis.
But
So
just
we
a
just need
bag.
to make sure we put a package together. So yes, it's something we're still, every time we get more of those kits,
Yeah.
they're gone before we get to do
Right.
anything with them.
Right.
So I think that's a great idea. What we'll have to do is put together a package that will
Okay.
go out with the van every day, and we would have it. As far as the Narcan kits is what he's talking about, it's the overdose kits. So we would have to do that because unfortunately we can't just leave them in the glove compartment. They freeze. So
Really?
So we'll work on that.
And obviously train the drivers what to do in the
Yeah,
situation.
that's.
And it may
we know
be,
some people.
get on the radio and call the fire department. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, we know some people that can. It's actually even better if you just dial 911 with your own cell phone than even on a radio, because we don't have a direct link by radio, and that would be problematic at best. But when you dial 911 with the systems that they have in place right now, the moment you place the call, they know exactly where you are, right down to the street number.
So that changed then.
Yes, that's all part of it. We still have the radios that we can use, but as I said, the best bet, coming from my old background, the best bet for dialing 911 is that system. And if you want to see how it works, there's you can get an app for your phone. It says, what 3 words? And legitimately, they have the world divided up into like 4 square foot blocks. So when I'd say that it tells you exactly where you are, it tells you if you're in the back of the building or the front of the building. So that's what the 911 department, state 911 department has developed. And we have that through the South Shore Regional Emergency Communications Center.
And the
So
drivers
they get
are
that
all
stuff.
aware of that?
Hmm?
And the drivers of the vans are all aware?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if the best bet is always dial 911 direct, because they're going to want the dispatchers at the 911 center are going to give you instructions on what to do while you're waiting for a response.
Okay, good.
So that's part of how the dispatchers and the call takers are trained through the 911 system. That they are the first piece of the puzzle, whether it be a heart attack or somebody giving birth. They can walk you through the whole thing and hold your hand while you're waiting for the emergency responders to arrive. Again, I sat on the state 911 commission. I know more about this stuff than I should.
Well, I like hearing a recommendation from the former fire chief.
Yeah. I have a little intel on that.
Great. And the finances for all of this, again, the town is going to handle all of this, the new van that's on order and the upfit.
That all goes through, as Chris mentioned, capital budget.
Okay, good. Okay, and we have another subcommittee about the senior tax work-off program. I've gone through, again, that street report that when I went through and analyzed it, we have on that report, 40% of Cohasset is born before 1965. So they are officially 60 and older. Many much older, I was surprised. I've gone to Braintree, Hull, Randolph, Norwell, Hingham, and Rockland. And except for Hingham, I've got input from all the other towns as what they do on the senior tax work-off program. Many are stuck in the old days before the information from the state came out about the senior tax credit. So they're very, very low attendance. But the ones that are modern have at least 20 seniors involved in volunteer programs. Very similar to the Valor Act, if anybody's familiar with that. They also have a great deal of involvement from the towns as far as offering volunteer jobs, which is something we don't seem to have in Cohasset. Just about every department is named when I went through the towns, as far as the library and the senior centers, of course, everybody uses, but the clerk's office, treasurers, accounting, public health, planning, schools, conservation, and building. All those departments seem to be using volunteers in other towns. And the long and short of it is that the program, even in all the towns with low involvement, seems to be working very well. But as I said, I spent a lot of time going through this, and with recent developments here in the town, I've lost any vigor I had in pursuing this anymore. So I'm just putting it on the table. If we want to continue, we need to come up with a subgroup. But I've done some initial finding, and that's where we stand. But I'm out of it.
So for the town manager, since he's here, do you see any other departments being able to utilize a resident in their departments in a tax work-off program?
Again, we're open to anything, and I know that the Valor Act, you know, we Phil Mahoney mentioned his point on that. It has to be something that's valuable both ways, right? So, you know, we have a lot of people that are currently talent. I mean, I'm looking for a way to work in our town accountant. I don't think I can grant it. So, again, I would work through Megan and see Meg and see what we can come up with. Because I'm more open to
Whoa.
you just have to structure program, kind of try it out.
Yeah, I don't want to create a need that isn't there, you know. So that was always the problem we had when we looked at this for many, many years. Was there's plenty of people who will volunteer to do some work, but there wasn't any work outside of elder affairs in the library.
I can speak to this a little bit too, because I did reach out to some of our department heads. It was more in the beginning of the summer, the spring, when we had talked about this. And the feedback that I'm receiving is not that they don't want the help, but we don't have the space. So right now we've had people, you know, my office is at King Street only temporarily. So we've been shuffling everybody around, and space has been an issue. So their answer to me has been, yes, we'd love to help. I don't know where we put that person. So I don't think it's something that we should drop, but we have to be a little inventive about and thoughtful about, you know, how we could, where we could put people. So that's been part of the problem, or the majority of the problem.
Well, a lot of it has to do with general interest too. When we put the Valor Act together, we expected a huge turnout, and we haven't gotten it. So as far as looking at the base of volunteers, maybe there's not an interest there either. So.
Rich, you mean among the veterans?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, my husband's not that type.
Your husband what?
Is not that he's a veteran, but I don't think he's paid attention. So I maybe need more of a publicity push because on 143 or something else.
Well, again, part of the problem is you get people interested, then where you're going to place them.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah, it's
it's chicken and egg.
but
Yeah.
it's
So.
also, I don't know how much people really know about it or understand it.
Maybe we should remind Phil Mahoney.
Well, again, we need opportunities before we can offer anything. I don't want
But
to
you
get
know,
people
there
to
are
start up.
opportunities here.
Well,
I mean,
I
my
think they're
husband and
consumed.
Jim both, you know, my
Right.
husband and Jim both
Yeah.
and you pursue the library
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
So right now, I think we have 3 individuals
Yeah.
under the Valor Act.
Right.
That's not quite,
Not
worth.
Well, when we laid it out, we put an initial maximum of 10, just to see where we stood. And as I traveled through other towns, nobody else is using it either. So I think Hull has had it for 2 years, 3 years now, and they don't have a single veteran. Hingham's had it for probably 6 years, and they've got 2.
I
So-
don't,
Can I,
even me sitting here listening to it and knowing, my husband's retired military, I don't even really understand how it works. I really what the big benefit is.
Well, it's a tax write-off. In other words, on the Valor
It
Act.
sounded pretty complicated. And
Pardon me?
there, like,
Oh, it's not at all.
taxes?
No, no.
It's federally taxable.
so what is the
So-
benefit?
so
Is it a
it's kinda
percentage
like-
of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
tax?
Well, the
Is it
way it
enough
works,
to
the way it
really
works
do
for the
it?
Valor Act and the way the state,
Yeah.
the way the state has outlined the senior tax credit, it's basically you volunteer for 100 hours and 100 hours, you get a $1,500.
Noted on here.
Yeah, and you do it,
It's
you have to, it's not state, it's not state
That's what I'm
taxable.
saying,
It's not
yeah.
state taxable, but it is federal taxable.
Yeah, on the one hand, it sounds great.
But it's not complicated at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I had that impression initially when you brought it up, but then
I think it
being
might
the
suffer.
paperwork person, I had to file.
I think it might suffer from an image problem too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the image?
It's like the
It's sort of like a
Forsyth Act.
handout,
Yeah.
the idea. It isn't in its intention, of course, but I think that's a perception that happens, and especially among veterans. Nobody wants to say, "Yeah, I want a
Yeah, I need a
handout."
handout.
I think it needs, if it's going to happen, it's going to
More
be
of a
successful.
reward.
It needs to be promoted in a much better way.
Well, personally, I do the library a lot, and I love it. 'Cause I can put on my headphones, walk around, and read the labels, and don't have to talk to anybody. And I think it's great,
Curmudgeons.
great. But I don't want to promote it because I don't want to lose my time at the library.
Maybe promoting the Valor is the way to go. Forget the other, because the Valor has no income limitations to qualify
Right.
for.
Yeah.
Well, neither
Whereas
does
the
the
other
state.
does.
No, the state doesn't. The state has removed all of that. That's why I'm saying the current thing that we got when we had the assessors people come in and talk to us,
On
that
the
the
work
state,
off. They
Huh?
remove that off the work off.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's
not,
not.
it's it's not income
not an income
restricted.
asset.
No, and that's why I say some towns are still under the old program where it is income restricted. So they've got it so a town employee can't also volunteer in another department because it's income restricted. But the state program now is not income restricted. Yeah. So, okay.
Karen wants-
Well, no. No,
Pardon me?
you still-
What?
I'm up, no, nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, now we're at our part, we don't have any other subcommittees going that I'm remembering. So now we're at the part for our just general discussions.
Or the liaisons.
Oh, okay, yeah, I don't even have the liaisons down here. Karen, anything to report?
Yes, well, I wanted to speak, I'm sorry, I haven't been here in a while, been a bit. But just to give everybody an update for the cafe, which has been very successful, to bring in people that would never really come to a senior center. This is our 16th year, so we were considering doing a Sweet 16 at the end of the fall season. And as well, I had talked to Diane, and this is the 10th year being in this building. So maybe there's something that we could do together. But one of the things, and I know you know this, but we know that socializing gives people a sense of kind of like a sense of purpose, and they feel good about themselves and having conversations with people that they would never cross paths with even. And there was a Harvard article stating those details, that people actually live longer when they socialize.
The Surgeon General. was about it.
Yes. Yes, so it is. And, we know that we had one of our seniors here socializing every Monday up until the age of 103. So we know it works. And we have half a dozen or more seniors presently sitting in there who are our 96, 95, in their earlier 90s, and then us volunteers who, the reason why we're doing this is because at one point, we're hoping to be sitting in there and having someone bake for us and serve us coffee. But we have a $3 breakfast, and as well as the camaraderie that they come in. There was a woman I was sitting with a couple of weeks. She's here again today, and she's been here for the last 4 Mondays. She has not left her house since her husband passed away suddenly last December. And she just comes in. She's, we had a long conversation why she's here, and it really helps people to get out of the house. And so how she got here was the birthday cards, which we mail out every month. And it ends up being like 70 birthday cards with a wonderful color-free breakfast on for their gift. And they come in with it. So that is a lure. And they might hold on to that for 6 months and then finally get the courage to leave the house, whether they come with a friend or not. So we know what we're dealing with in here is more than home-baked delicious goods and a cup of coffee. We know if we have someone who is religiously here every Monday, and all of a sudden they're not here 3 Mondays in a row, we call them.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just bringing it to attention, but these details.
Well, I'd like to add something to that too, because all of that is quite true of the Friends, but in a bigger view, it's true of this entire place as well.
Yes.
If there's any single purpose that's the most important for this place, it is the socialization aspect that it provides. And I think it gets overlooked from time to time in our attention to the details of programs and all that stuff. Those are lovely things, but the whole idea of all those things is to get people out of their houses and someplace where they can socialize, talk to each other. It does more than any drugs they'll see on TV that night while they're watching. It does more than any other single thing can do for a person of a certain age. And I think it can't be overstated.
Absolutely.
I just have a corollary to that. It's retro related, but it also enables people each other when they're here. They might not, but they'll say, "Are you okay?" or something. That kind of thing. It's not just you having to do it, but they'll look into it, and it's if you do social work, that is key.
Yes.
That is key.
Is there anything that the Department of Elder Affairs can do for the Friends? Because I know you are pretty much known for cafe, but are there any other things that you would like us to support or help?
No, not really. I mean, we were the ones who sponsored Grandparents' Day. So we are kind of behind. It's not like we're kind of behind the scenes. And right now we're happy. Growing older.
We have money in our gift account too.
Oh,
We can
okay.
share with you.
We'll
So
come
yes.
up with something.
Yeah.
Don't forget the wet bar.
We did buy those bright green chairs.
Yeah.
We were trying to be perky and happy.
Yeah.
As opposed to your standard brown or black chairs. So
We've come to you for 30 years for money, so we have money in our gift account.
Okay.
So you guys are running
Easy, Paul.
low on
Easy.
events.
well, we will keep you posted. Maybe we'll do like a whole carnival out there for our 16th birthday party.
Just anecdotally, as I said before, and many of you know, I host that men's discussion group. Started out in the cafe area, got bumped upstairs, but it's every Thursday morning. And it was the first, I think it was the very first time that we met. I had everybody go around the table and just, say what they expect to get out of this. Why are you here? And and I think it was a joke. He said it in jest, but one of the guys said, "I just want to make sure that I have pallbearers."
What?
Pallbearers. It was in jest.
Yeah.
I mean, he was sort of bully,
Yeah,
but
there
it's
was
a,
yeah.
it's that developing new
That was-
friends and making sure you
Yeah.
have good close friends. So anyway, that popped
Yeah,
into my head
they
when you
leave
talked
you
about
too.
that.
Close
Karen, one thing we found, well, we made the change here on the lunches where, I felt that many people were shy coming in, didn't know anybody. Like I say that, I'm not old enough to use the senior center. None of us could say that, but at any rate, what we had was some of the staff actually introduce people around, and I don't know if that's something you do at Cafe to sort of
Oh,
bring
yeah.
the new people.
Yes, we do.
Okay, make them feel
Newcomers are
comfortable.
free, and we do introduce them, and we do a really one-on-one conversation with them, just to find out who they are, and just to get them situated into it, to be a tribute. I often attribute, I often compare the cafe with Cheers, and everyone knows your name and the thing, because when they do come in, we do tell them, hey, I need welcome, and know that they're.
What about little name?
Right, we talked about that.
Yeah, labels.
Okay, so we did name tags from the very beginning, 16 years ago, and then like papers, and they were with lanyards in their name. I can tell you how well that went over. They don't want to feel like they're in an institutional building.
Yeah.
They
Gonna be when I go to the door.
yeah.
In and out.
So that last one to be that person.
Yeah.
They want its name. Some people are good with remembering names and some aren't. So
Yeah, it works.
yeah,
Just a suggestion.
understood.
Yeah.
Big battle this morning over someone took somebody else's chair.
Oh,
I was
my
just
God.
gonna say.
Oh, yeah.
It's not necessarily assigned seating, but just be careful.
Yeah. We went through a phase in the beginning before their chair was supposed to be understood. They used to come in and tilt the chair up on the table.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Before they got, used to, like, people put pocketbooks of coats or whatever, they actually tilt them up. But now you're supposed to know that's Jim's chair. And you're not.
But when it's held out here, it'll mess it all up. So
I know.
maybe that will create.
Well, we did come out here last year. It was lovely.
We had lunch out here.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I remember.
We did lunch out here.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So it was good. Anywho, so there's tons of, I don't know how many are left. Really good baked goods today.
Yeah, the last few times.
Yeah.
Pretty clean.
Well, I think the new kitchen person with Joan is her name.
Yeah.
She made some brownies last week
Oh,
during
oh.
bocce. I've never had anything as good.
Yeah.
And they had
Wow.
some coconut in the brownie. I never
So
heard of
that's
that
what it
before.
was?
Coconut.
That's a good brownie.
It was excellent. Well, we could peddle those.
And her hermit.
Did you get them at the
uh,
Quincy Rotary?
Yeah, you just stop off on your way home.
That's
And who
funny.
knew? I had no idea I was going to have brie for breakfast.
Any other general comments?
I just wanted to say that the pool did very well this summer.
Oh, good.
And we still are having the master swim come in the morning because we have solar. And so the temperature of the water is around 78 degrees. So it's, the master swim is coming in every morning at 6 o'clock and swimming. And they're going to try to do it through September.
Is that seniors?
Yeah,
Master swim?
it's not age.
Okay.
Yeah, it's adults. Let's put it
Okay,
that
there
way.
you go.
And the general pool is closed. If the weekends are warm, we'll open up, but just ostensibly it's closed for the summer.
And you have staff to open it if you need it?
We have staff,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm delighted to say we do have staff, yeah. So it was a very, very good summer, which was delightful.
Okay.
Any openings at 60 Elm?
Oh, there are openings of 60 Elm.
That you don't control.
That we don't control.
No.
So we have a new director started at the end of July, Sherry Jobert, and we're very happy with that. But she is, of course, constrained to 22 hours. That's a state constraint on us because of the number of units that we have. and that's not enough time, and help to free her up. And then also our maintenance person who has been here more than 6 months, he's passed his probation, but he got hurt on the job a month ago, so we're out maintenance again. Hopefully he's coming back this week, I heard. But so I have to say Sherry has not been able to work on the wait list at all. And since she came on because of her timing. We have Joan Machino is coming to our meeting in September because we are seriously thinking of trying to extract ourselves from the state process.
How
I don't know
much
if we'll
would that
get away
cost
with
you?
it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
So you could set
You don't
up
want to bite the hand that
yeah,
feeds you.
yeah. Well,
set up a Cohasset Housing Authority.
what?
You could have a Cohasset Housing Authority.
Yeah, we can disassociate ourselves from the state, but I don't think we can afford it, to do that. But it's just so incredibly frustrating, the amount of time and money that we spend on dealing with the wait list, and then, I won't go into numbers, but the last like 2 or 3 people that we offered an apartment to rejected them because they don't want to be in Cohasset, so why do they apply to Cohasset?
Yeah.
But no public transportation, and they're very small units, and it's ridiculous system, and we have not gotten very far on making that change.
Do you represent any other housing other than 60 Elm Street?
We have 3 group homes.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. But it's none of this other, this stuff
No.
that fall in there?
No, that's
Okay.
not housing authority, that's affordable housing.
Okay.
Do we know what's going on at Five Corners? The house that's being built?
It's a Habitat house.
That's
Habitat.
That will be
Habitat.
affordable, yeah.
And
Well,
that's,
that's separate. I mean,
Yeah.
Habitat has its
Yeah.
own selection.
Right, it has
Right.
nothing to do with the housing authority. They
And
have
those
their
people have already
process.
been selected.
Yeah.
Well, I think one side has. I don't know if both
Yeah.
sides have.
So that is part of what we do for the Affordable Housing Steering Committee. So that's the big project that we have going on. So that's, I think the second floor is up now,
Yeah.
and that's humming right along.
Yep.
They are looking for volunteer groups to do volunteer work. They kind of have a canned program where if you volunteer, you have to pay to play.
Okay, yeah.
So you have to raise donations in order to volunteer, and you have to have a certain amount of people to go on site. So there has to be, like, say, 10 people to go on site and be a volunteer there. So they have been booking out through September. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
where
we
they
did
are.
a day through my church, Stephen. And it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
That was another part of my checkered career, is that I worked as the local executive director of South Shore Habitat for about 10 years. South Shore and the Greater Corporation. So, I think it's a really good program, because the new homeowner has to participate in building a house, which is they have a very strong mandate for sweat equity, and they don't have to obviously be good on the work site. They could help clean up. They can do simple. They can help in the office of Habitat and still have it, hours count towards that sweat equity. And they get a 30-year no interest mortgage for what it costs to build a house. Big deal.
That's a 2-family home that's going up there at the end of
Yeah.
Jerusalem and Hull Street. And then there isn't very many other projects going on right now. The One Pleasant Street has been converted to condominiums. So there'll be 14 condominiums on the first floor. There's a proposal for a school to go on the first floor.
I'm sorry, what on the first floor?
A school?
School.
Yep. I don't know what kind it looked like, but that was one of the proposals. And the affordable units will be 4 total units out of the 14 will be 14.
And then who out of those 4 units, do you guys get involved in the
No, that goes through the
applications?
popular state process.
Okay,
So they
okay.
have to hire a consultant or someone who manages that type of process. Just like Stop and Shop does, they hire someone that manages that for them. They have 5 units above Stop and Shop building.
Yeah.
And so that's how that works. We've identified a couple of other sites in town that we're working with the trust on, that we would have to transfer land from the town to the trust and then go through the process there. They have 2 properties right now in the trust. One is a lot on Heather Drive that went out for bid. I believe there was a bid received by one of the abutters to purchase that land. And Mill Lane, I don't know what the status of Mill Lane is yet. There's a lot on Mill Lane that's in the trust as well.
I might add that the Board of Selectmen and First Senior have been working, I think, very hard with Avalon, the preserve, the management of the preserve, with some of the apparently pretty major issues that the people in the affordable units have. And, you know, I've always had my pulse on that since it was built, because I was on the Affordable Housing Committee at the time, and because our son lives in one of the affordable units.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think, you know, whether they'll make any progress, I don't know, but they are voted to put in an inspection system to inspect all the rental units in town on an annual basis.
Yeah.
For public health issues, you know, mold and, you know, stuff. So I think that's a huge step.
Has the water been shut off, the stuff that was running? That was awful. I was just wondering if at least turn it off. You have to fix it, but
Yeah, so now the health department will be going there as units turn over.
okay.
Right.
And there's a fee that'll be assessed. I think it's $100 fee for each inspection that occurs up there. That's the fee that they have to pay. So my guess is that'll start hopefully by June. I don't know. Going to take a lot to get in place. It is for all rental units in the town of Cohasset, less Airbnbs. So any unit that is rented longer than 30 days will be subject to annual inspections and more when the tenants turn over. That's how that process works.
Anyone, anything else? I'd like to propose next month that we hold an executive session after this meeting, just for board members. Primary reason is, well, we have many reasons, but one of the things I'd like to do is, Chris Senior is having his mid-contract performance review coming up in November. And I'd like us to be able to submit a letter to the select board as to our concerns or recommendations or compliments, whatever we have. And I'd like to discuss that at the executive meeting next month.
So there's only 5 reasons why you can have an executive committee meeting. So Megan, can you send him the list?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Yeah. It's a paragraph you have to read to go into executive session.
Okay.
It's very specific by the state.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
I'll
if you could
send
send
that- I'll
that to
send
me.
that along to you.
Terrific. Okay, we do have next month we have a holiday, so we're meeting on the third Monday on the 21st. Anyone have anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah. Thank you all. And I look forward to this.
We look forward to working with you.
Nice to meet you.
David,
For the court tomorrow.
Yes. And any of you, if you have the time, stop by and play a
Yeah,
little
if
box.
anybody would like to look at these samples, there's a book.
Oh, yeah.
where's the samples?